Hello, my name is Douglas Arner, and this is Looking Back, Looking Forward. If I look back a little bit, my friends Janos Barbaras, Ross Buckley, and I wrote an article in 2016 looking at this idea of what we called RegTech, regulatory technology, using technology for not only compliance with regulation, but also using technology to support supervision, to support enforcement, and even from the standpoint of building digital financial infrastructure to make markets work better. And we looked at the evolution of this idea, the idea of using technology for compliance, supervision, regulation, and enforcement. We looked at its evolution over a period of decades, particularly in securities markets, in risk management markets, and in AML. And I think what is interesting is to see how things have developed over the past 5, 6, 7 years. And my friend Simone De Castri at the Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance, their new center on SupTech, released a new report right at the beginning of this year where they do a global survey of supervisory technology, the idea of the way in which regulators and supervisors use technology from the standpoint of supervision, enforcement, and building better markets. And I think what was particularly striking about that survey was that a very large percentage of the hundreds of supervisors that they surveyed all over the world not only were using technology to improve their own regulatory and supervisory efforts, but actually they knew the term RegTech and SupTech. And I think from the standpoint of an academic, one, it's fantastic to both see that something has evolved in the way that you very much hoped it would, and second, that people are even using some of the terminology that you use yourself. And I think as we look forward, this idea of RegTech and SupTech is one where we are going to see even more potential for regulators and supervisors to build better financial systems. But I think a real focus that we're going to see in the Indian presidency of the G20 this year is in the context of digital financial infrastructure, a theme around payment systems, digital ID, account opening, data systems, which we have picked up a great deal over the past several years across these courses. And I think one of the biggest lessons of the Findex, which came out last year, looking at digitization of finance across the COVID period, was the important role that these sorts of payment systems can have going forward. And I think one of the most exciting projects to watch over this year is going to be a series of efforts out of the Bank for International Settlements, the International Monetary Fund, and a range of other international organizations to try to build a new international electronic multi-currency payment system. And if we are able to do this, this could fundamentally transform not only electronic payments, but also economic activities, and in particular, deal with some of those huge challenges around financial globalization that we spent the past year after the Ukraine invasion talking about. So, where I want to leave you with at the beginning of 2023 is first, very best wishes for a better year than 2022. 2022 for many people around the world was a terrible year, and I think many of us are hoping that 2023 is going to be better. A real question about this, lots of questions around inflation and economic fallout. I am cautiously optimistic about growth performance in Europe, the US, China, and across the Asian region. And so I'm optimistic that 2023 is going to be better than 2022. And let me just leave you with one of my favorite statements that comes from the Chinese Lunar New Year, which is very best wishes for a happy, healthy, and prosperous Year of the Rabbit. And I look forward to seeing you each month across the coming year.